Hello, everyone. Welcome to Arcana Homesteading. We're your hosts.
Headphones. Do you want those?
It's fine. I mean, can they hear us? We're assuming you can hear us. Our thingies, our voices.
Our things are working. You don't know what that is.
We can see our voices on the computer. So
are we tilted? Did I tilt us?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Looks pretty untilted.
Great. Anyways, hello, everyone.
Yes.
Welcome back. And if it's your first time here, welcome. I'm glad you found us. So today we're going to talk about some homestead facts.
Yes.
Which is also just more like common sense.
But, common sense to one person is not common sense to the next.
Absolutely. And
especially when it comes to animals. And I think with animals, I think common sense, oddly enough, I think it can be genetic. And then on top of that, I think it can be a lot of...
Common sense is genetic, like...
Just in general.
In general,
and I think then on top of that, I think it's just a lot of just learned experience, right? Like
for sure.
Yeah, and you like have a lot that just comes with you're like
huge learning curve.
Okay.
Huge
it's a
huge
curve. And you're constantly learning. Like so, in that first 6 months of homesteading, the first year, the first 2, 5, you know what I mean? It's just like you're just not going to know everything.
I think the biggest thing that you should always ask yourself when you're doing something is, am I being a dumbass? That should be at the top of your brain all the time. You're like, am I being a dumbass? And if you're like, and you think like maybe, then you probably are. So that's a good rule of thumb to follow.
That's a vague question, though.
Am I being a dumbass?
Yeah, it's vague.
It's not.
It
is.
It's
because
vague.
Most of the time this isn't a good idea. In the back of your brain,
that's common sense again, though.
There's like a little like ding, ding, ding. Like this is probably not the best idea.
I don't think some people don't.
Nobody has that. Some people are like, they
some
don't have.
Bell is just silent. You know what I mean? That fucking bell's it's lost its little toll thingy, right? Their bell's ringing. They don't hear it.
It's unfortunate. But yeah, so. There's a lot of different things, obviously, that we're talking about when it comes to common sense, especially when homesteading, because homesteading is such a broad topic. Obviously, a lot goes into it. It's not just animals. But
yes, right.
Today we are going to focus on the animal aspect just because you're dealing with a live thing
that has feelings,
that has
all the things,
you have to think about it a little bit more than the bread in your oven
or the vegetables in your garden. Now, don't get me wrong, I know the vegetables in your garden, especially if that's what you rely on completely, and the yield of the garden for your family to eat, like obviously that can be like detrimental in that way.
We're going to touch on that a little bit,
but in the way of like these vegetables have feelings. I am harming them and traumatizing them emotionally.
Yeah.
And mentally, like
only when you rip that carrot out, commit tire genocide to its family. Carrot
it's normal to think like that. Very normal.
And you rip it out, you can like hear their little screams. It's like the thing from Harry Potter, Mandrake.
Yeah, it's very annoying. Maybe I always thought in that scene from Harry Potter, I was always like, just don't scream so loud. Like you're very annoying. You know what I mean? You're a very annoying little plant.
Do you know the mandrake root is a real root?
Yeah, it's a real root that they took that name from.
Mm-hmm. It's actually highly poisonous.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, it can kill you. And it does look like a little person, actually. Or
Ew,
can.
Creepy.
Yeah.
Do you know what else looks like a little person? Are those big potato bugs?
Oh,
crickets?
Yeah, I love them though.
No, I hate them.
Why?
They bite like a motherfucker.
Yeah, they bite really hard, but they're so cute with their little heads.
They're very uncute.
No.
They're very the opposite of cute. I see
love
one,
them.
I'm like, oh my god, ew.
No.
You're just like, bleh. I do not like them at all.
They have like little squishy bellies.
Yes.
They're very cute.
Stop. No.
How's that not adorable?
It's not adorable.
It's a
I'm
squishy
not as fond
belly.
of bugs as you. I'm not going to harm
it. And its little face, and it's all like, hi,
literally, why do you have a face?
It has a little
You're
face.
You're an insect.
That's what I'm saying. That's
that
not
lives
adorable.
In dirt. No, it's weird. It creeps me out. It's bizarre. It's like this little baby unearthing from your vegetable garden. You're like, oh my god, I'm mortified right now. Like I'm traumatized. I remember the very first time Aiden's my oldest. He's 20 and Abby's 21, and she's lived with us now for the past 2 or 3 years, and he's proposing soon. Anyways, so the first time she saw one of these little baby cricket thingies, and she lost it. She's not fond of bugs. She's very much like me in that way. Well, in a lot of ways, but like she does not like bugs at all. And she saw one and she was like, oh my god, what is that? I'm like, oh, it's just the Jerusalem cricket. I know they're so creepy as fuck.
They are not
leave
creepy.
Them, push them aside.
You keep saying that.
And I'm like, don't touch it though. They do bite. And like, oh my god, her
reaction.
You
can squish their little bellies.
She didn't even want to be near it. She was like running away.
Good to know.
It's very,
good
very
to know.
funny.
Thank you for that information.
You're like, well, anytime I want to make Abby mad, I know where to find some Jerusalem crickets.
Be like, Abby, can you come help me with this?
There's something in this box, Abby. Look inside.
Yeah, they are very adorable. Don't listen to Sherry. If you ever find one,
they're not cute,
and they're good for your garden.
There's a lot of things good for my garden, Shauna.
I'm just saying.
It's fine. They can live there. Dude, just don't come up.
What do you mean?
I don't want to see your fucking weird face, okay? I don't want to see you.
You're so mean.
I don't want to see you.
That's mean. That's rude.
I do not want to see you. Stay under the ground.
They're adorable.
Creepy as
Should
fuck.
look them up.
Ew.
Anywho, so back to whatever we're talking about. So a lot of the time, I think, especially when people first get into homesteading, or even when they've been doing it for a little while, and they want to grow their homestead, instead of kind of pumping the brakes a little bit before you get an animal, you need to have their area of where they're going to be already set up.
And we've talked about this so many times, and I feel like it just has to be reiterated over and over again. And I can't stress enough how you will be thanking yourself like tenfold if you can bring the animal home, put them immediately into a shelter that has been either built specifically for them or what the fuck ever, right? But you know you have something that's going to be perfect for this animal. There's not really a lot you're going to need to do. I'm going to clean it out and then get them in there, or I have to reinforce this little space right here. But like, it's so much easier versus going in, I'm going to go buy these 10 baby ducks and bring them home. Oh my God, where am I putting these 10 baby ducks?
Well, that's the thing.
It's very stressful because a baby duck, by the way, like just
they
ducks,
grow rapidly.
They go from like the size of your palm or smaller to like, I'm a full grown fucking duck with like baby down feathers still in a matter of a couple weeks. I mean, you look out the door, you're like, I'm sorry, I had baby ducks in that pen. Like, it's fucking weird. So again, think about like, not only I have to have this pen ready, but like these guys are growing very, very quickly. And chickens can grow fast too, depending on the breed. And so again, your space for them has to be able to accommodate all of those animals that you have in that space. So if you have that going beforehand, it's a lot easier.
I know, and it's always very like, and I've done it a billion times. I go to the feed store and I'm like, oh my God, I want this, and I bring it home.
See, we can do that though. I know at least I can, because I have so many spaces for animals.
Yes.
Over the course of these 25 plus past years,
we have made multiple pens, multiple brooders, multiple
so many extra pens.
I can think heat lamps. Like I can always find something. So
thank you. Exactly.
So when you see something at a feed store and you want to bring it home, whether it's a chicken, a duck, or what the fuck ever, I should have rhymed. I should have made a rhyme. Like, anyways,
I was like, I mean, you could go for it. I support you.
Anyways, you have to think about not just the home that they can be in temporarily as babies,
right?
But then their home for when they are adults. And how fast do I need to get that home ready?
Yeah, because again, it happens so quickly. You bring up a baby, and all of a sudden it's a fucking adult.
Yeah, that's not like a human baby, cage. Right? Where you're like, well, they're going to be an infant for
very unlike
a
year,
human baby. You know, very unlike that. So, then not just. Great, I'm bringing this home, but what do they need right now? Do they need a heat lamp?
Do I have that?
Do I have a heat lamp?
Do I have the feed for them?
Are they have
the shavings or straw
bedding?
The bedding for them for their pen?
Do I have the proper? Because sometimes, or a lot of the times, people will grab like just a water dish for their baby chicks or their baby duck, and it's not a proper water dish, or you don't think that, they can't drown in this, it's like only a few inches deep, and then they drown and die, partly because they're dumb and partly because you're dumb, because you are thinking about it from your perspective as a huge person, that this is a few inches of water, but this chick that's only is only a few inches tall, they absolutely can drown in that. They can also, ducks, we think they can swim.
And they can
as
swim. Babies, but you have to remember, in the wild, baby ducks will have their mommy duck, and when they get tired paddling their little itty bitty flippers, they climb on top of their mommy duck. Also, or they will go to shore and crawl out.
And see, it's zero. There's like the zero entry. Like they can just
right. They just
walk off. Yes. Like get to the edge of the thingy and start walking. And a bowl or a dish or whatever you have in there for their water, if they can't get out of it and they can't touch the bottom of it, they absolutely will drown.
They're going to drown.
So
I know it's so weird, but it 100%
And
will
so
happen.
there's just so much to think about when you're getting an animal. If you've never had that animal or have had experience with that animal, we just got ducks again. We had them when we were younger. It wasn't our first rodeo. But like, or have somebody, or do a shit ton of research, okay, before you get it.
Google's your friend.
Google is amazing. Or know somebody that knows how to do all that. We just got bees again on the property. We didn't have them for a while. My father-in-law's a beekeeper, but I want to be learning, so I'm going to be like out there with him and learning about how to take care of these bees. But I'm relying on him to teach me, and he is my like resource. I'm not going to just go out there and be all like, "Hey bees, I'm just going to come over here. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Hopefully you live through this."
Best of luck. May the odds forever be in your favor.
You can't just go into it completely blind, I guess, with anything.
And then, so the next thing I would say, if you are looking at a pen, like let's say for one of your animals, whether that's for baby ducks or really anything, and you're like, I'd be comfortable in that, then your animals will be comfortable in that. Now, if you look at it and you're like, oh my God, I would never want to lay on that, then your animals also will not want to lay on that.
And if you could imagine yourself shrinking down and being like, I'm a little chick and I'm walking around on a wire bottom cage.
Yes.
Would that be comfortable to sleep on, to walk on? I don't understand the point of wire bottom cages
I'll tell you
for
the
anything.
point of wire bottom cages, and it's an awful cop out. It's because the people responsible for those animals don't want to clean their pen as often, and it is very, very awful and very. It's to me, it's a cop out. I'm sorry, but like
convenience will be the death of us. A
wire bottom cage for a rat, for a fucking rabbit, for a duck, for a baby chick. There's no business at all to have a wire bottom cage. Okay, if they're levels, I know I've seen some cages, they have a flat bottom and then a level, wire and then wire right here. Okay, that's fine because they can always go down. But even like one of our cages that Candy actually came in.
That's a rabbit.
That's our rabbit. Many, many years ago, she came in this very odd cage. It has levels. It's more like a chinchilla cage.
Okay.
And her bottom, the very, very bottom, is flat. There's no wire on the bottom, okay? But then there's levels up, and the levels are wire. Because, again, they don't want, the poop. If they poop up there, they can fall through. I always put, Daya actually made and sewed specific things that fit over those wire
that you could just take
tiers.
out and clean.
Exactly. We could take out and clean and just throw
so
in the
more
wash.
Comfortable.
It was more comfortable for her. Like, it just...
I'm not trying to be confusing. So, like, the bottom of our chick brooder is chicken wire, but it's on the ground. So they're not going to be stepping like what we're talking about. Wire bottom cages is there's the wire part and then it drops down like an inch or 2 inches, and then it's like the flat base that you can pull out and you can clean that part.
Or there's nothing below it,
or there's and it just goes onto the ground.
Like, the ground is down here.
Think of stepping and sleeping on just little pieces of wire, like it just drives me crazy.
And so with rabbits, if you wire bottom cages, they get the hawk sores, and it just very, very bad. And they can actually become like lame. Chickens, baby chickens, they can get their head caught through. They can actually be pulled through by predators. FYI, they can get their feet through it and
break their legs.
And it just presents
rats
all sorts of problems.
Break their legs. Anything that can fit through, their legs can.
We had when we were younger. Again, Google was not a thing.
See, we didn't know yet.
Well, we couldn't know it.
We were children.
We were children ourselves.
We were like 8 and 9.
Exactly, and we didn't have Google, and obviously to learn something we had to get info from someone else. There was no internet. Okay, so our rats, was it just one of them or was it both of them? I think it was just one of them.
One of them, yeah.
He caught his leg in the wire bottom cage all stupid, like it had slipped in at a really terrible angle, and he broke his leg. And it's like, what the fuck do you do? It's like, anyways, again, to me, this is just common sense. I hate wire bottom cages because I look at that. I wouldn't want my kids walking on wire all day. I would never want to walk on wire all day. I wouldn't want to sleep on wire. Mm-hmm. That's how I think of things.
That's how you should think of it. Common sense, though.
Again, so if you don't have kids, would you want to sleep on that? Would you want to walk on that all day? If you do have kids, would you want your kid walking and sleeping on that all day? Of course not. It's just I don't know. Again, just common sense
that you have to put up your rabbit or whatever in the Ritz, No,
our chick brooder, our main chick brooder that our ducks are in right now, well, part of my ducks, they are in. It's just a big wooden chick brooder that has a lid, but they're directly on the ground. Now,
And they have a space for a heat lamp.
and then the heat lamp goes into one side, and then their food and water's on the other side. And then I put hay down on the ground as well because ducks are like filthy and messy, and I keep changing the hay out. So, but it's right directly on the earth. The other thing, again, another common sense thing that kind of just came to me with chickens and ducks is they do most definitely need to be on the ground at least a couple hours out of every day. It's going to keep them from getting ill. You have to, again, what's their natural habitat? It's the fucking earth. And so like, if they're not allowed to be on that earth, like they're gonna have health like issues and problems.
The little microbes and stuff that they get from the dirt, from the bugs. And
you just have no concept of how that.
I was just gonna say
makes
something
them so
that
healthy.
I was like, it also what else? There was something else that you're saying like.
I was talking about ducks. I was talking about the brooder on the ground. We were talking about wire bottom cages forever.
I don't know. I lost it. Dang it. Oh well, maybe it'll come back to me. Maybe it won't.
We'll never know.
So a lot of the common sense goes into. Oh, I know what it was. It was if you have little chicks or little ducks, and how Sherry said, like you're like, oh well, they need an outside portion. If that outside portion,
yes,
maybe the chicks can't get out, but something can dive down from the sky and scoop up the chicks and then
crawl into the pen and take the chicks and hop out.
So it probably needs a top is what I'm saying, even the outside portion.
It doesn't probably need a top. It 100%
Absolutely
needs a top if they're going to be outside unattended. Now, okay, like we have tons of dogs that run our property, and so they keep everything away. So like I can get away with putting some chicks, but even then I would only leave them out there for maybe a couple hours unattended. In like an open top cage.
I still like the hawks would still like swoop in, or crows even take chicks, ravens, and everything. Everything wants to eat a baby. Anything that's tiny, tiny that's smaller, like the size of your hand or smaller.
Yeah,
like
you have to protect it like its mother would protect it. And since you can't be its mom with it constantly 24/7, then you have to encase it in a protection.
Yeah,
think of it like that.
Like a little bubble.
Exactly. And so lids, no wire bottom cages. And dirt.
No wire hangers.
No wire. Think of that. That's great.
Yeah.
I love that. No wire hangers. See, she was onto something. She just needed to be talking about chickens and not screaming at her daughter about hangers in her closet.
Yes, well. I don't think she'd ever talk about chickens, mommy dearest and all.
She had her priorities a little bass backwards there. Mm-hmm. She needed to have been like put on like, those like, I don't know, sent to like one of those bunny shows and all those bunnies are in wire bottom cages and she could just scream at them all. Like,
I start twitching.
No wire bottom cages.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hilarious. We'll make a movie.
All about rabbits. So obviously anything, how Sherry was saying, like anything that's really convenient, if it's convenient for you, it's probably not the best for.
Because that is such a good point.
It is.
It is such a good point because you know what?
But but like think about that in life though, okay? Like
100%.
fast food, convenient. Is it good for you? Absolutely
nasty
not.
As fuck. I mean, don't get me wrong. My kids still get McDonald's. It's fine. But like
anything that's convenient, that's easier.
It's bad.
It's either bad for you or bad for somebody. Yes. It's usually not the best. Convenience, and that I think is the beauty of homesteading. Right. And it's kind of one of the reasons why we do it. It kind of like brings us back to having like when we're making the bread, we're with our hands.
Yes.
And it's a slower process. We don't just go pick it up at the store. I saw.
And again, the bread that you make in your home.
It's way healthier, right? So like the convenience at the store. Yeah, it's convenient, but this is way better for your family, way better for you. Like homesteading is supposed to be about slowing down.
That's the title. We should have thought about this beforehand. That's the title.
We do everything like
convenience kills.
Yeah, it really it's literally true, and it's literally killing our world. Just the convenience. Even people don't want to take the time with like weeds and stuff, so they use like the sprays.
Oh my god! And stop. I have so many neighbors, like luckily they're not right around us, but like down the road a bit. And like the kids actually noticed it the day we're driving, and Daya's like, why is that all dead, like along the side of their property? I was like, because they use weed killer. Because right now everything's green and beautiful. We've had so much rain. Everything's just sprouting. We have weeds like fucking like half my height right now. And it's like, but the weeds are beautiful in their own way, of course. And they're not weeds. They're all usually medicinal, especially around here.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, it's fucking weed killer.
But
And
so
it is so
convenient to
terrible.
go out and ride along on your little whatever thingy, your little mower, and spray those weeds in your fences, because then you don't have to sit there and walk along with like a heavier, weed whacker, and maybe you don't, and then you don't have to do it like
Again,
twice.
convenience.
But it's because of
Very,
the
very
convenient.
convenient.
All that, especially if you have a well water. If you're using it, goes into your ground. It's not going to just stay in that
Are you
spot
planting vegetables?
when
Do you
when
drink
it
from a
rains.
well?
Yeah, like
Very,
it's just
very bad.
It's anything that is convenient is not good for you
Somebody.
or somebody,
Yes.
or the earth or whatever the fuck.
Yes.
So again, homesteading is about slowing down. It's about taking the time and being like present in that moment for whatever task you are doing, whether that's your animals, whether it's baking,
and
whether
here's
it's
the thing: if you don't have time to, I don't have time to clean these chickens or these ducks, I'm going to put them onto wire so I don't have to worry about cleaning them. Maybe just don't have them, or you need to move things around your life so you do make time for that. That's all there is to it. I mean, to me, those are the only choices. Like, I would never be like, oh, I don't have the time, so I'm going to buy this,
thing and let it suffer.
I'm gonna buy this janky ass cage. So then these chickens are gonna be highly, uncomfortable and just awful and breaking their legs and getting their heads stuck and it just. Ugh.
And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying so. Like how many times we fix like an actual fence with like a baby gate, and like it's supposed to be temporary, but then it ends up being there for like a year or whatever.
Well, but
that's like, and yes, you can think of that as like convenient, but it's not like literally like. It's making sure those goats don't get out or whatever's not getting out of that pen. That's not
harming anything.
Yeah,
though.
you're
that's
not
actually going. I'm going to be kicking myself
you're being
in the ass
and you're
to
being
do that.
like innovative. Like that's what it is.
Innovative. Disney should hire
Innovative
us.
is not.
No, and that's to me is very different. Like, yeah, I'll throw a baby gate on something, or I'll throw up something, some other pieces. Like, girls, grab me that fucking chair right there. I'm going to put it up right here, and that because
Oh, my
like,
goats got out today.
Yeah, like my buck is out right now.
Yeah.
Throwing all my girls into heat, which is fine. Actually, they need to all be bred, so that's great. So I guess it worked out. But like, I will always see a hole, or one of the goats is always getting out when I'm like fucking leaving the property.
Yeah.
They never do it when I have like yesterday we were home all day.
No.
There's no goats out. There's no holes in fences. But like
They weren't there yesterday.
tomorrow when we go to leave for vaulting, for example, I can guarantee you Periwinkle's gonna be like, my head's stuck in the fence, and like, I fucking hate you. Like, why?
I went out this morning and both of our big fat goats were out like running around and everything's like blooming and stuff. Their pasture is huge, by the way. Huge. There's so much in there that they could be eating. Why are you out? What is the difference between over here and over there?
It's because the grass is green on the other side, Shauna.
They're so annoying. And so they're out, and they're I have my dog with me, obviously, and then because like he just comes with me when I go outside, and so Moo Moo, one of our big fat goats, she's like a big Nubian, and they both have horns, which is like the death of me, and so she's like chasing him around and gets him right in the side.
Oh my
and like
God.
I was so mad at her, and he's like trying to get away. They're just like, I know they're being like protective of themselves, like they're like, this is a predator, but I know. I was like,
they don't really think it's a predator. She's just being an asshole.
She's being an asshole.
She's an
oh my
asshole.
God. And so like trying to get them in and then trying to fix, like patch up
ridiculous.
the hole and
I need batteries for my controller.
go ask Dea. Go ask Dea.
What?
Ask your sister
To what?
to get batteries for you.
You just
Um,
come back here.
The battery's right behind you.
Oh, I was like, go ask Dea.
Problematic.
Okay.
Here,
Give us some.
You stay right there. You keep talking. I'll just
Okay.
grab them real fast.
Anyway, so behind us is a whole treasure trove of things. If you didn't know, it's like my mom. She likes.
Look, I'm behind the curtain.
She
I'm like- I'm the
stockpiles.
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, she stockpiles a bunch of stuff, and we usually come shopping here when we're out of food and broke. But anyways, so
Double A, right?
what were we talking about? Oh, the goats getting out. Anyways, they're just so annoying, and I had to.
Can they see me?
Yes, they can. And I had to use. So, like, a piece of our barn roof had fallen off, and it was, like, right there. And so I just used that to patch. Okay, thank you so much.
Love.
We had to
Close the
use.
door, love buck.
I just used it because it was right there, and the goats were trying to get out again, and they're, like, super strong. And so I just used that and nailed it to the thingy.
What'd you use?
It was a piece of our barn roof that had fallen off. It was, like,
there you
the
go.
perfect size.
Perfect size.
And, like, oh, my
Had
God.
fallen off. You're like, well, thank you.
I know. And
That's
so I
awesome.
told my husband, I was like, hey, I just patched it with that. Whatever. It just has 2 nails in it. It literally gets nailed to the to the roof, and he's like, "Oh my, why did you use it?" Anything I would have used, he would have told me.
I was gonna say,
like,
unless you were like, I completely repaired the
like,
fence perfectly with fencing and
with
with all the
just
things.
my
And
imagination.
even then, he would have been like,
yeah,
no.
My husband's never like whatever I do, it's definitely wrong somehow because I think it's partly because he wants to feel like needed,
Yeah, yeah. He's like, that's
and
my
it's partly
job.
because he's very much his father, and like nothing can ever be good enough unless he does it himself,
Right,
Especially when it comes to that kind of stuff. That's
Yeah.
like his
yeah,
area
realm.
of expertise,
Yes,
and he's
right.
like, you can't possibly do it right. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god, hanging up on you, you're annoying me. I did. It's like, click, okay,
And then send him a photo.
yeah, fixed it.
Look at this beautiful piece of artwork. Yeah.
Anyways, it was so annoying, but yeah, so convenience definitely is the killer of everything, whether figuratively or literally. So
Yep,
think
I
about
agree.
that, and think about why you are doing this. Like, why am I homesteading? Is it to get it done faster? Because that's not homesteading, and nothing is fast in homesteading. It's literally
Yeah, no.
everything is supposed to be
Everything is going to take time, and and you have to make it priorities for whatever you Dan knows how long our podcast after she comes in, looks at the screen like,
she's like, are you done yet? Because I want to ignore you when you're out there. Okay, I want to ignore you to your face. I swear to God. Love our kids though.
kids,
Yes.
kids.
Even in terms of gardening, right? So you could just slam some seeds into the ground, hope for the best. It's probably not going to work out though. If you take the time to look at your soil, test your soil even, see what you need to amend the soil, and then add that to it, have your compost going. Obviously, this takes so much more time.
I've never tested our soil. No.
But you probably know your soil too by now, and you know what I'm saying? It's a little bit different.
I suppose.
And
yeah,
you've been
just
gardening
being
for
here
so long. Yeah.
yeah.
But if you are every year like, oh, nothing, I'm not a good gardener. It's probably not that you're not a good gardener. It's probably just your soil shit. So work on it. Use your use your compost. Use when you muck
Yeah.
out stalls, throw it the fuck in there. There's starting with good dirt will literally change your garden. It'll be amazing. You'll be like, I have the best, I'm such a good gardener. And you'll thank yourself for just taking the time to add
Well,
good
that's,
dirt in.
seems very, again, that
Common
seems like
sense.
common sense. But
It is.
I understand that people would be like, no, I bought, these bags of dirt at whatever, and why isn't my garden fabulous? You know what I
Right.
mean? Yeah.
Right. And you think
Yeah.
I bought this dirt.
I bought this dirt, I spent money, it's organic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but it's just not going to have everything that
not
your
gonna
plants
cut
are
it.
going to need.
And that's a lot of gardening. A lot of gardening is slow. It takes time. It takes effort. It's not.
Yeah.
And as much as I'm not an overly I know some people they prune the shit out of everything because it obviously can. Some things love to be pruned, and it will make them even come back the next year even bigger. Whether it's kind of fruit tree or a bush or whatever the fuck, right?
That's hysterical. I'm not big on pruning either.
I
not-
am a very much and it might be slightly because I'm lazy, but I also like the wild look of things. I don't
Yeah,
like
ditto.
things to be manicured. Just I have holes in my fucking pants, so it's just it goes throughout my life. I'm not a crazy on everything looking perfect because
Right.
because it doesn't look natural to me when it does. It looks I want it to look organic. I want it to look kind of it's growing. I'm letting it do its thing.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
obviously I probably could get way more. And don't get me wrong, I do prune our fruit trees. I just don't overly prune.
Yeah.
I do prune them. Obviously the little shoots that come up from the bottom, I'm like, okay, you have to die. I'm sorry, But I'm not an overly I'm taking it down to a small bush. My rose bushes, I never prune those, and I know
No,
you're supposed to
Ditto.
make them like come back even better. But I'm
Yeah.
like, why?
Yeah.
They're just a rose bush.
Yeah,
Have
exactly.
you can
Who
have
cares?
roses.
Exactly. Have some roses. Great. You did it. Congratulations. Okay, I'm walking away now. Yeah. The only thing I prune is my my fucking my rosemary in the middle bed, but because it's just
'Cause it's
she
huge.
takes over if I
Yeah.
don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She will 100%
Big
take over
Bertha.
that whole entire garden.
Yeah.
If I didn't just keep her to her bed. We have a whole bed. You have a whole bed. It's a pretty big
But
fucking
I didn't.
bed too.
My rosemary's not in my garden for that reason because they are just my rosemary I have outside my garden is you've seen it. It's massive.
Yeah.
Massive, but it can. she can spread out fucking all as much as you want.
Go.
Yeah.
Let you free.
Yeah, she's fine.
Yeah,
So-
that's the only thing I prune. But then when I do prune it, I obviously
Use it.
I use whatever I prune.
Utilize it, yeah.
Jacob went in there and hacked it last year for me. Hacked a little too much. I was like, it's too much.
Those away from you.
Give me those freaking things.
Bad, Jacob.
That's right. No,
Um,
he was helpful though.
yeah.
He filled like 2 whole garbage bags of like fucking rosemary. It was
It's a lot of fucking
a
rosemary.
lot of rosemary.
I can never because your rosemary never, it's always green.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't see the need in drying it. So I'll dry it sometimes, but I'm like, why? To use it, I'm just like, why? I'll just have fresh rosemary.
Oh, 100%. If
I'd
I
rather
didn't
have
need
fresh
to prune it,
rosemary.
I would not. But like she takes over like the pathways. I mean, she would take over the
No,
entire
I
garden.
totally.
Like, I have to prune
No,
it.
I totally get that,
Yeah.
but I don't understand the point of
The
dried
point of
rosemary.
like dried rosemary when you
Yeah.
have an entire rosemary bush
that I could just get
Exactly.
fresh
Yeah.
rosemary from
Yeah,
for
because I
all my
do.
rosemary needs.
Yeah, exactly.
I never
And
really
I'll
need it
just
dried.
I just bring it like I'll clip a few pieces off, take it down to the house, and then keep it in water even.
I
You
do
know
the
what I
same
mean?
thing.
Because like then I don't have to come up like
You could
every
put it in
single
your
day.
shower. Cut it and put it in your shower and hang it
steamy
upside down.
rosemary.
Delicious. So anyway, so getting back to animals and making them your ultimate goal, I think, should be with your animals, if you are going to have them, even if you are, the point is to process them later. So whether it's meat birds or
Anything.
anything that you're planning even to process, you shouldn't give them a shitty life beforehand just because they're going to die in a few months, because that's even shittier. Be a good farmer, I guess.
Yeah.
And think about are they comfortable? Again, I'm not telling you to go and get a queen size mattress for your pigs or whatever. I mean, that'd be lovely, but they're fine. But just make sure that your animals have their fresh, clean water. They're not drinking out of mud puddles,
Yeah, have their needs just met. You know what I mean? And comfort needs too. Because I'm sorry, I know some people would argue that animals don't have feelings and all that. It's weird that people argue that still because of all the science that backs the fact that animals actually do have feelings. So make sure they're just comfortable. Clean water, great food, and they're comfortable. They can sleep
dry,
at night.
a shelter.
Super dry.
I always think it's weird when animals don't have a shelter.
So, I do know that cows, because their hides are so thick, they literally will just stand out in the rain. They just don't need a shelter. But even if we had cows, I would 100% build them a shelter.
I'm more talking about not even a man-made shelter, even trees in a pasture.
That's what I'm saying. When
When
they're just out,
especially
in the pasture.
in the summer when it's fucking hot and it's just scorching hot, everything's just brown and dead, and there's horses just standing out in the middle just looking like they want to kill themselves. If they had a rope, they would definitely use it, you know? You know what I'm saying?
So our alpacas, now that I think of it, they don't actually have a shelter that's specifically for them. They have a pen they can go into, and that gate's constantly open, and there is a shelter in there. That they don't, though, because we have so many trees.
I was gonna say they always are under a tree.
There are so many trees,
Yeah, but-
and they're big trees, and they give off a lot of shade.
Shelter
and a lot of
doesn't have
cover.
to be man-made. It can be just a fucking tree.
Right, just like a
But
tree.
I just always find it very weird when it's just an open pasture and their animals are just sitting there.
There's that one horse boarding place on the freeway. I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And I just hate it so much.
too.
And they're just these little paddocks. There's no shelter for any of them.
No.
It rains. Well, you're getting rained on whether you like it
Yeah.
or not. And you're standing out in the 100-degree heat and hurts.
Which is weird that they can even
How do people pay you to board their horses
I know.
here?
Be like, no thanks.
That's awful. Poor things.
I know. So yeah.
Shit.
Think if would you want to just in the middle of the summer, triple digits, just stand out in a field, just being like, yeah, this is great. No, you want it.
Having a wonderful time. It's no, it's you don't. And it's God damn it. Just give them what you would need, Give them how can I
Plant
make
some
them comfortable?
trees.
Right?
That's another I hate.
Plant trees or build shelters. I mean, those are the options.
It's really easy. I hate fucking people taking down trees though, for no reason. I hate it so much. I know this is not the topic that we're talking about, but it literally, nothing hurts my soul more than to see a huge tree that's been around for longer than anybody, and they're taking it down because I don't know why. Just because I'd rather take this tree down than
I know.
have its leaves in my pool or something, some other dumb excuse that they have. I hate it. Or it's its roots are making the pavement uneven. I've heard so many dumb reasons of why people take down the trees. And yes, people say like the roots are disrupting the foundation. That tree's fucking old. It's already would have disrupted your foundation. Just stop. Leave the tree alone. Leave it alone. Just trying to live. And you know what else pisses me off? Why I'm on the topic? Sorry.
It's okay.
Is
Shauna's on one.
taking trees down in the springtime. What happens in the springtime?
I know, babies.
What happens?
I know.
Oh,
Yeah.
birds are having babies. Where do birds nest? In fucking trees. So maybe don't be an asshole, okay? There's my
2 cents for the day.
yeah.
Yeah.
I hate it so much. I hate it. Every time I see somebody taking down a tree in the springtime, I'm like, I'm not gonna hex you. I'm not gonna hex you. I'm not gonna hex you.
I have to keep saying to myself so I don't hex you later. You're welcome. Lots of them to take down that big tree.
I know. I hate it. It's so sad.
And our neighbors need them taken down too. But I think their horses have like eaten them, and so they're taking them down because they're like dying and dead because their horses killed them. So it's like
we protected our tree and our goat pasture because they were because the goats and horses once everything's
eat the bark.
dead or even just because they're being assholes too, they'll eat the bark of the tree and what happens is that once that bark is gone, or even if it's gone in a complete like circle around that tree, it's called girdling the tree, and the tree will die. So the tree, how they get their nutrients and everything else from the roots is through the bark. It's very actually kind of fascinating. So it's not like it's going inside the tree like it's like veins, right? It's actually on the outside. That bark is how they get their nutrients and everything else and that water to go up into the leaves. And so if they don't have that complete pathway, if it's broken, that like highway around that, it will kill the tree. So you can do things to, like we just put a fence up around the one tree that our goats were after in their field. It's like a huge valley oak. You can, even if the bark is on the ground, because sometimes like bucks and stuff will rub their heads against a tree and take the bark off.
Yeah.
And the bark will be on the ground, and you can put the bark basically, or you could try it. It doesn't always work, but basically put it back on the tree. And then like tie it there so it will stay, and it will still work if it's all attached and it's like makes one. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like you can still attach it back if you have the bark available. But yeah, fun facts. More fun facts for you. You're a bad baby.
Mine.
You're a bad baby.
I'm cheating, Auntie. I'm sad.
So anyways, I hope you guys appreciated all of that, those little kernels of wisdom. We hear things and see things throughout the weeks and stuff, and so sometimes we're like, we have to talk about this because we want the whole point of our podcast is to share our homestead knowledge, and sometimes when we think what might be common sense, just because you don't have the experience, you might have no fucking clue. So we're not trying to like talk shit or whatever, if you're like, oh fuck, my fucking rabbits have been on wire cages for the past however long, like we're not trying to talk shit, we're just trying to help you
do better. Yes, exactly. Yeah, no offense intended whatsoever. Like obviously if you don't know, you don't know, but now you do know.
Now you do know. No excuses, okay? Get your fucking life together.
Luke's baby, look at you. She's like, shit. Auntie Shauna
you too.
means it.
I mean it. You do.
She means it.
Anyways, if you guys haven't checked out our Patreon, as always, please go check that out. If you are new here, we do have a Patreon called Porch Talks, and it's similar to this, but not really, because we just like kind of bullshit and we have a really good time and we laugh and we make jokes, and we just want you to feel like you're hanging out with us and talking. So if you want to check that out, you can go to patreon.com/porch talks with an S, or you can go to Patreon and just type in porch talk with our kind of homesteading.
Can't rip it.
If you want to get a hold of us, if you have a topic or something that you would like us to discuss further, or a whole new topic that we haven't hit on, please go ahead and you can email us at ourkindofhomesteading@gmail.com. Not sure. Shout outs to our top patrons over on Patreon are Lexi and Tegan, our mom Tammy, and Megan. Thank you guys all so much for your support and for everything. Other than that, that's it. We're done.
Bye. We're saying bye, baby. Say bye-bye.
We're saying bye, baby.
Bye,
bye,
baby. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.